Okay, so yesterday, while Debbie and I were on our walk, sorry, I was thinking about the conundrum of Matthew chapter 7, verse 6 that I did, uh, well, here's what it comes down to. I exposed my ignorance on, and how I shared this, that there was no transition between this whole thing on judging and throwing, what did he say? Giving dogs what is sacred, throwing pearls before swine, before pigs. And then it hit me. Well, if the meaning is there are times to give people what is sacred, and times when when you don't do that. If there are times when you do throw pearls, and then times you don't, you know what that requires? It requires judgment. Now, it's probably so obvious that you already have seen this. And this is also an obvious piece of it. When we use wise judgment, this is not the same thing as being judgmental. I don't believe Jesus intends for us to be judgmental. But I do think one of the realities of life is we have to use discernment, wise judgment. It doesn't clear the water very much on why he would talk about dogs and pigs and about the sacred and about pearls. But I see the connection. Okay. And then he goes on with, again, no transition. This is beginning in verse 7. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks, the door will be opened. Oh. I think you're probably not even going to want to watch these anymore when I share with you that I read this and I'm sorry, but I'm thinking, really? Because there have been a whole lot of times when I have prayed for specific things, good things, things that just seem right to me. I'm not talking about, oh God, please give me a Mustang 5-liter. No, I'm not talking about, God, please give me that new tailor-made driver. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about healing for my loved ones and for friends and for people who they've gone literally years with a physical affliction and nothing happens. I've asked and asked and asked, and I continue to ask every morning. I'm just not seeing. But he says it, ask and it will be given to you. All right, there's a big deal on that. And one of the things I've realized in the last couple of days, a lot of times I'm asking for what I think is appropriate, but I look back and realize that, well, that's not really what I needed. What I needed was this. Okay, there is that. And James talks about it. He says, why don't you get what you ask for? He said, because sometimes you ask, the King James Version said, amiss, or with wrong motives. Well, I know I ask with wrong motives, but I really am making a conscious effort to evaluate my motives and ask for the right reasons. Ask, and it'll be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened to you. All right. Am I the only one who asks, seeks, and knocks, and the door doesn't seem to be open? I'm not finding it. I'm not seeing it, and I'm not getting what I've asked for. Okay. This is going to sound like a Sunday school answer, but I think it actually is the answer. When I ask, eventually, I will get what I've asked for. On condition, because now Jesus doesn't say, all right, here are the conditions. This is apparently an unconditional kind of statement, even a promise. You get what you ask for. Okay, then either it is a failed promise or I don't understand the context. And part of the context is that God is not on my timetable. Well, my brother, who had my middle brother, who is a year younger than me, has had MS since I was 27, and I'm 70 now. He's lived longer with MS than would be expected, and he contracted it long enough ago that there were no significant or effective medical interventions. You have it, you just do the best you can until you die. I pray for his healing, and it hadn't happened. I've been praying for it for 40 some years. Okay, that's my time frame. I have another friend who's had a series of disabling diseases for the last 4 years that have left them pretty well decimated. I pray for them every morning. I'm not getting what I've asked. I want that. Yesterday is when I wanted that. And I have other people on my list of healings that I'm praying for. And I'm selfish. I want this now. I want them healed now. I think I've told you I'm reading through the Gospels and then rereading for this entire year, and I'm just captivated. I finished Luke this morning, and I'm captivated by the narrative, by the stories of healings that just sometimes with a touch, other times with only a word. One significant time when a woman with an issue of blood who had been bleeding touched the hem of his garment and was immediately healed. I'm intrigued by those, and I I, I am not, I've never had it happen that I have prayed earnestly for a person and they were, boom, instantaneously healed. Now, there are people who have had that happen. I wish I were one of them. But okay, God is not bound by time. And it's immature of me to try and bind him with time, within time. Now, there are other things that I pray for and that you pray for, but this one on the healing side is it's a tougher nut to crack for me than the others. I don't know if you've heard of Johnny Erickson Tata, but she is an amazing woman. When she was in high school, she's a beautiful cheerleader, athletic, outgoing. Man, you talk about a chick with a future. Until she dove into a lake in an area which she didn't realize was shallow and broke her neck and has been paralyzed from the neck down, a quadriplegic. And this happened in the mid-70s. Her story is more than a little bit amazing. And she's written about it. She's one of her books that was pretty profoundly affecting for me was called A Step Further. She had written her life story, or at least the story up to, oh gosh, probably, I think it was the first 10 or so years of her dealing with being a quadriplegic. Her faith was huge. But in A Step Further, she writes about how she had sought faith healers. She had sought people of genuine faith, and she had begged them, and they had prayed for her. And still, she's quadriplegic. And in that book, she writes that, is it possible that we have a one-dimensional view of healing? That right now, to have everything, all those capacities back, for her to be able, she's an artist. And she has, her art is gorgeous, all done with pencil or pen or paintbrush between her teeth. If you don't know her story, it's worth finding. But she says her confidence is in this, that there will be a day when she will be healed. Everything, every single thing that has held her back will just fall away. And that is when Jesus says, well done. Enter. Essentially, death will be the ultimate healing for her. It will be for my friend and for my brother. I don't like this. Well, I do like it for Johnny. I mean, what a great idea. But I've never even met Johnny. But I see my brother in the nursing home in his chair. I encounter my friend almost weekly. I don't know. I believe it. I'm not satisfied yet, but I believe it, that one day that request will be granted. I keep knocking. I keep seeking, asking and seeking and knocking, and one day I'll get what I asked for. I'll get what I'm seeking. The door will be opened. but it hadn't been today. Wow, this is a downer. I'll try to do better next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.